Once upon a time, there was a presidential candidate called Ron Halbert. Ron Halbert had many good reasons to become president, or at least he would like to think so. For one, he had run 3 multi-million companies, of which 2 were Fortune 500 companies. This made him very desirable as president.
That is true. But at the same time, there was a presidential candidate named George Costello. George Costello had the misfortune of living through the horrible, horrible experience of watching his wife have 4 miscarriages. This drove him, more than ever, to ban abortion.
Ron, who thought himself to be an excellent candidate, had quite a different experience. He had his mistress have 7 abortions, which all failed. This drove him to believe we needed better abortion technologies to abort babies, because those 7 had become drug addicts, which had been quite the blow to his career as a politician in the Conservative Party. His stance on abortion even more so. It was a hardship. That's why he became a liberal.
A liberal? That might be so. George, however, had the fortune of once, with the work of Mitt Romney, who's awesome, start up 7 multi-millionaire companies, which all aided the war against terror, bringing him to become close to a national hero in the eyes of true Americans.
Ron scoffed at this, for he had been one of the contributing factors in more than 5 successful campaigns against the Soviet Union. At least that's what was said in the propaganda videos. No one needed to know that we had in fact failed all 5 times. One time we'd even been raped. Literally. It was a horrifying experience. For the sergeant that was raped. Luckily, we had him killed. Sadly, his diary was found later. It led to quite a catastrophe, which was pinned on me. Ron. That's fine. I directed swiftly and effectively the public's attention back to the 3 Fortune 900 companies. It was a great success, which cost me a lot of money. In fact, it was horrible.
George had 2 brothers, twins actually, whom he was very fond of. And they were the reason as to why he felt so strongly about aiding the war against terror. For in this war, one morning in the Iraqi islands, they found his twin brothers lying dead in the sand, which brought him great sympathy, I might add, but brought him also great grief, but guided him ever so stronger to fight this enemy of our great nation. Your move.
Ron had always been quite fond of prostitutes. That's why he had 8 of them sent to the hotel room of his enemy, George Costello. This is also why he had the press wait outside the hotel room to see the 8 prostitutes as they exited, ruining his campaign with the Democrats. Ron was quite pleased with himself, especially when the 8 prostitutes returned and there was still time left on the bill.
Of course, this would have been a political catastrophe for George, had it not been for the fact that under this gigantic press horror. 3 of the prostitutes committed suicide right in front of the press before they admitted to have been sent there by his opponent, Ron.
This was quite a devastating blow to Ron,
I imagine.
because the remaining prostitutes, plus one more, died of AIDS that he had gotten from Ron, who was immune. But not before they had spread the AIDS to George Costello's nephew.
This would have been a problem had not been for the fact that George had found a way to counter the AIDS with his secret AIDS cure, which thereby rendered him immune, and the cure was distributed to everyone, except the gays, of course.
This would have been a problem for Ron.
Up. Tally up the score first.
Oh, yes, please do.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
So it
quite in
was
minus
the
here.
4 miscarriages. It was the 7
No,
multi-winners.
Yeah,
these are
yeah,
just
yeah.
points. You just have to
Oh
get
yeah,
the call.
yes.
So we're equal then.
No, because the
very much.
Oh yes,
not
the
so.
Joker.
Yeah.
One card.
yeah, Joker just adds the the latest string of points, that is -2.
Yeah.
So he ends up with -4. So yes, you become president, and then
It was a glorious campaign, although not perhaps the cleanest. But due to his amazing skills with the press, Ron was able to claim the victory. This victory made no smaller by the fact that he had his enemy George's wife divorce him and bring 10 of his companies with her into the new presidential fold.
Well, we only had 7 companies.
He took 2 more.
This, of course, distressed George quite greatly. And then, one day, he was visited at the door by 5 young women dressed in slutty underwear, all carrying weapons. They all fired a shot each. George died there alone in his multi-millionaire mansion, which he was about to sell because his wife was rich. Dead. Alone.
The war on drugs carries on. It carries ever on in the land of the free, the home of the brave.